Hello, friends. Good morning, good evening. We got Chicago in the house. We got DC in the house. Thailand. A bunch of Chicago, actually. We got Ohio. Hello. Hello, hello. And make sure I'm not too loud. And make sure the music's not too loud. So I got something a little different today. There's just some work I have to get done. But I figured we can turn this into a Q&A while I work and finish up some stuff. So yeah, because I actually don't have any photos to edit for once. I finished for the year. Everything is edited. I'm good to go. So yeah, pretty much done for the holidays. How's everyone else doing? NC in the house. Home turf. Actually, I wonder if I can bring my OBS over this way. There we go. How nice. I like it so much. There we go. Cool. Oh, you know what? I don't even have the rest of my stuff. Hold on real quick. Gotta make sure I have all my tools. Charlotte NC. We got NC in the house. All the home turf folks. Oh, dang. Okay. Oh, goodness. Dust everywhere. This place I live in is just like mad dusty all the time for no reason. We got Germany in the house. Hello, hello. But yeah, so I got a different view here that I set up. We'll see how it works out today. Also, if I can get the lighting right too is the real question. Greensboro, we really do got all North Carolina up in the house. I feel like I'm at home. 11:30 p.m. Dang, Philippines in the house. But yeah, so this is not what I'm doing, but I did recently buy an OP1, which I'm super excited about. Again, might start getting back into making some musics and things, but this thing is cool. But really what I need to do is, if y'all been keeping up my videos, you know I built this computer a little while ago. And I'm gonna switch it out because I ended up getting that Mac Mini. So yeah, now I just have this like extra computer for no reason. So I need to gut this. I tried to sell it as a full built computer and no one wanted it. So now I need to gut it for parts. So yeah. I also, bear with me, I got a dental implant yesterday, so my mouth is bumping. Yeah, the boy Ben Binge in the house. Yeah, OP1, I'm super excited about this thing. Like, really. I just started messing with it and starting to try and learn how to use it, but it's really cool. What's your opinion on wireless tether? I don't really have one. I haven't really done a lot of wireless tethering before. But are we talking about like internet or like from your camera? Oops. So yeah, let's take all this stuff off first. I'm sad I couldn't sell this as one whole piece. Yeah, I finally ended up getting an OP1. I've been wanting one for a long time now. Like a long time. It's really cool. But it is like, I wouldn't say a steep learning curve, but it's definitely enough of a curve to make me have to like sit down and like really work with it. So yeah, we'll start out by uninstalling the graphics card. since that's the easiest to get to. But yeah, like, the only thing I've done with it so far is just made a little drum loop. And it's not even like, but the fact that you can sample on it is so cool. From camera to laptop to monitor. Yeah, wireless tethering, I'm not familiar with any wireless tethering. I don't know how much of that y'all can hear. But yeah. Are you going to make your own background music now? Maybe. Possibly. Again, if y'all have been hanging around on the channel, you know, I went to school for music production and sound design, so me making my own music is not, you know, it's not out of the blue. Like, I went to school for that stuff. It's actually what I was doing for years before I started doing photography, so. But yeah, no, I'm not familiar with any wireless tethering. Hello, Damien, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Just doing some Q&A while I do something a little different. Oh, I should have unplugged the power too. Look at me, great job. I loved working in this case though. I don't think I've had so much fun building a PC in like a long time. All right, so graphics card out. Good to go. I need to find, there should be a part that I can put on there. Yeah. Gets this thing set back up so I can sell it. Question, do you register your business first and then advertise, or advertise first and then register your business once you have clients? You can do either way. A lot of the times too, and again, I'm not a tax professional, but before you start making a certain amount of money, you can actually just work kind of like as a freelance basically, or sole proprietor. So technically you don't need to register right off the bat, but if you're trying to be very serious about it and long term, then you may as well go ahead and register your business. But usually, especially with something like photography, I feel like it's better to kind of get yourself solidified first, just as like a side hustle. And then from there, you can actually start registering your business and going on from there. Because sometimes you'll go through all the hassle and you'll register your business and all that, and you like won't even be profitable or anything. Oh goodness, get in the bag. Ah! There we go. Sucks to watch you tear it apart after seeing the video where you built it. Yep. Yeah, I was so the story with this, where's my packing tape? So the story with this was, I built this to be a Hackintosh, and this was going to be my hack that was replacing, not even replace, yeah, it's replacing my iMac, which is like old and busted at this point. So it was mainly going to be for my wife to use, and then I was going to use it whenever I did like in-person workshops or anything of that sort. So I built it, and then almost immediately after, Apple, they introduced the new M1 Max. So because of that, well, I was like, the M1 Mac Mini would be perfect, and it's even smaller than this setup that I currently have. So it made more sense. So I ended up getting the Mac Mini, and now I'm like, okay, I'll just gut this down and sell it, I guess. But yeah, it was working. It was a Hackintosh. It was on Big Sur. It was working perfectly. Everything was fine. These parts are pretty much new. Like, they're barely used, pretty much new. So But yeah, I tried to sell it as one whole piece and people weren't down for that. So now here I am gutting it to sell for parts, because the parts will definitely sell, especially with them being basically new. So here's our power supply. If I can get this out. I have the worst grip because I have sweaty hands, so I can't hold on to anything. Let's take this riser cable out while we're at it too. Also, this case is hard to come by. Like, not a lot of people sell it anymore. The company like barely makes it. I need my snips too. I didn't even get all my gear together. I'm just over here like doing whatever. Uh-oh. Who's your inspiration in photography? So, one big thing I need to do is go back and study a lot of the old school photographers. That's something I haven't taken the time to do. Surprisingly enough, like I need to take a photography history class. So most of my inspirations are newer wedding photographer. Even like Benj, who's in the chat. I don't know if he's still here, but Benj is absolutely amazing. His work is awesome. Forged in the North, they're probably my hands down most favorite wedding photographers, and they definitely kind of started me on where I'm at. Yeah, I admire their stuff a lot. Do I have? But yeah, just stuff like that. I really just keep up with the wedding photography for the most part. I do, yeah, great job. Are these the ones that came with the case? I don't know what I'm doing. This doesn't look right. Did it even have any that came with the case? Or was it just open like that? See, now I'm lost. Oh well. Alright, so we're just gonna put these screws back. They must have, right? They must have been in there. Did you max out your Mac Mini, or did you go with the simple? I did a 1 terabyte hard drive with 8 gigabytes of RAM, so I did not max it out. It was like $1,200 or so. Yeah, I don't know if these were in here. I'm just gonna put the screws back in. And it's actually, those new M1 Macs are they're pretty impressive. And the rumors are now that they're making like 28 core and 128 core Mac M1 processors, or M1X or something of that sort. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what they do with like a Mac Pro or something of that sort. All right, let me go grab my snips real quick. If you could go back in time and give yourself a camera and a lens, what would it be? Also, how's the day been so far? Give myself a camera. So the first ever camera I straight up owned was a T3i, like a Canon T3i. I only owned it for 2 seconds because then I upgraded to the 6D. I was pretty happy with starting out at that point. I do kind of wish I got on Fujifilm earlier, but the XT1 and 2, they were good, but there was a lot of compromises you kind of had to make while you used it. So I'm glad I got on it like at the tail end of the XT2 leading up into the XT3. Let me see where my snips are. All right, snips. What are these? What's the official name for these? Yeah, yo, my tooth, or my non-existent tooth, it hurts. Got the green light from the wife to buy gear for Christmas. Yeah. I'm so excited. I don't know what to get. Lights are probably a smart option, but lenses or bodies are fun. Yeah, that's always the hardest choice of what to get. And it really, I feel like it's always based on what you currently have and or need. And sometimes it's hard to decide what the better or best choice would be. Pliers? They cut things. Is that what pliers are? I'm like, I don't know building stuff at all. They're super fast. My friend got a MacBook M1 Pro and it destroyed mine. It was like a Ferrari versus a Fiat. I mean, really? Nippers? Okay, I just call them clips. Yeah, those like, again, my computer, and I need to make my M1 videos. I've been like slacking off recently, which is not good, but yeah, from what I've seen of the M1 stuff, it is ridiculous. Cause I'm over here with like an i9 9900K, like blasting out computer, 128 gigs of RAM, and the M1's not faster than it, but it keeps up. And that in itself is just like the part that blows my mind, that it actually keeps up with my computer. And I'm like, wow, my computer is beastie, y'all. Apple out here taking names. Oh, look at all this dust. Why is the place I live in is so dusty? That's what electricians call them. How much faster are the M1 chips? Sounds like Intel and AMD are in trouble. I don't know about AMD. AMD, they've been on their A game for a hot minute now, so I think they're fine. Intel, on the other hand, Intel's in trouble. Because especially like when it comes to Macs, like everyone was using Intel just because that's what they had. But Apple's over here blowing them out of the water. It all comes down to software and stuff too. Like, you know, there's no Ryzen Max that just, it doesn't work that way. Okay, so we have our power here. Go ahead and take this stuff out. I need to start buying like custom sleeved. I hate these cables that come with power supplies. They're like the worst. I'm 14 years old and I really like photography. For 5 months, I have a D3500. Nice. That's a great place to start out. And remember too, when you're starting, like I know everyone likes to throw around specs and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, your camera is a tool. That's like funny little story. You know, everyone starts somewhere, so no offense to anybody, but I was at a camera shop and someone came in and she was looking for a film camera. So the guy at the place was just mentioning something like an AE1 or a Pentax, you know, those easy, simple silver cameras that are just straightforward. They're just a shutter opens and exposes the film. And she was asking what the quality difference in the cameras were. And you know, like for a film that's not a question. It doesn't work like that. Like your film decides the quality in the lens basically, and then outside of that, how you expose it. So my point in telling this story is that that's how you should approach cameras when you're starting out as well. You know, like, yes, all the camera companies now are telling you about all these cool things that the cameras can do and all this stuff, and that's great and all. But at the end of the day, it's a box that opens a shutter that exposes the film or the sensor. And you have to know that and understand it. The bells and whistles don't matter. And once you're good at photography, then you can decide which bells and whistles work for your workflow or make your process easier. But never let it be the camera deciding first and foremost what and how you do things. I think I had a stitch come out. My teeth hurt. But I hope that makes sense. So, you know, when you're starting out and you know you have a D3 500, don't be like, oh, my camera sucks. No, it doesn't. Learn light, learn how it works, learn how to use it and to mold it, learn how your camera works with it, and you'll be so much better off even when you get a better camera, because you'll just know how that stuff works already. Look how cute this power supply is. I love these little small power supplies. If I can unhook this thing. There we go. Intel got left in the dust once AMD made Ryzen. Yeah, Intel, man, I don't know what they're doing. And the only reason I'm still using their chips is so I can Hackintosh my machines. And I know you can hack off of Ryzen chips, but I'm just not, you know, I'm still kind of a noob. So I'm scared to try. But I've heard of a lot of people doing it and having success. And I can't imagine like a Ryzen running Mac OS. Like that's a good time. All right. So I'm gonna put these PSU screws just back where they were. Oh, they don't even, okay. I'll have to put them into the bag now. I don't have a box. I guess I'll go with all this other stuff over here then. I'm kind of surprised Google didn't get into the processor game. That's true. Chromebooks, aren't they just like proprietary little computers that don't really do anything? I don't know much about Chromebooks. Specs have been taken over by marketing. I could shoot a wedding with a couple of T5i bodies. And clients went, exactly. I talk about that all the time. I saw a photographer once, and again, no offense to anyone, this is all just my opinion, but there was a photographer talking about how your clients expect you to have the best gear, and I was like, what? Like, no client cares. They really don't. Like, they barely know cameras. Now, you could tell them that you have the latest and greatest, and it might impress them so that they have something to brag about and be like, oh man, my photographer's using the best and latest and greatest camera. But outside of that, like, they don't know or care. You know, it's like me going to I don't know, like a car garage, and them telling me they have like the most latest and greatest like drills or something, or who knows, like whatever tools that help them get into the car better. I'd be like, great, bro. I just want you to fix my car, you know, like that's good for you, and I'm glad you're into it, and that's cool that you're using the greatest gear, but like it doesn't change the outcome of what I get. If you're doing the work that you advertise and it's good. So it's very true, like, and that's why I'm cool using crop sensor. And everyone's, oh, how do you use crop sensor at weddings? Because I know how to use the camera. The camera works for me, and I use it well, and my photos turn out awesome, and people pay me for my photos. And however I make those photos, that's how I make them. Do you make a review for the 50 to 140? I didn't. I only had that thing for like 3 days. It was nice though. I normally don't use zooms, but I was definitely feeling that for weddings. Like it had me questioning if I should get at least one zoom or something. All right. Now I'm gonna take This is like the smoothest, quickest little breakdown. This case, these small form factor CPU like computers are so good. It's just, this case is so good. So straightforward, like really. Any tips for teenagers aspiring to become wedding photographers later in life? Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is just keep doing it. Do it as often as possible. Take photos as much as you can, especially when you're young. Like, I'm gonna be real, I'm very jealous and just like jealous of any younger folks starting, because I didn't start getting into this until like I was pretty much in my 30s. You all are at a great advantage getting into it at a younger age, and just get out there and practice. Practice as much as you can. Shoot anything and everything. And then if you're able to get a photographer to mentor you who already does weddings, you know, hang out with them and learn from them, because wedding photography especially is more heavy on the customer service side than it is the photography side. And if you don't learn that stuff first, you'll learn it the hard way. And in weddings, you don't want to learn it the hard way, because that can turn into getting sued and all kinds of craziness. So, you know, shoot portraits, shoot pictures of your friends, do street photography, which I still need to make a video on how street photography and wedding photography, in my opinion, have a lot of the same kind of aspects to them. And just keep doing that until you start landing some small wedding gigs, and then start seconding for people and kind of go on from there. Chromebooks are just made to be very cheap. They expect you to know you're not going to get pretty much anything from them except basics. The basics. Client, I only want you to shoot the wedding if you have an A7 IV in this. Yeah, yeah, like no one's going to tell you that. No one's going to say that to you. Oh, you're shooting crop sensor? I'm not hiring you. Unless they know photography. And see, that's a different story. Like, if you hire someone who is a photographer and they're picky, that's fine. They know what they're talking about, at least. Most people they don't care. They just don't care. They're not going to care what you're using. The same way as, like, I don't care, you know, what famous basketball player, I don't care what shoes they're wearing, you know, because they're good anyway, and they'll be good. What are you putting together? I'm actually taking it apart. So this was a computer I built a while ago. And I'm replacing it now with the Mac, the new M1 Mac Mini. So I tried to sell this as a whole piece, like one part, and no one's buying it like that. So now I'm taking it apart and selling it for parts, because it should sell just fine as parts only. But yeah, like, this is such a, if you've never built yourself a computer, seriously, like, give it a try. It's easy and it's fun. I really enjoy being able to put together my own stuff and have it work the way I want to. And y'all, like, how long have we been streaming now? Yeah, 30 minutes, and I've already broken this thing almost all the way down. Like, building computers really isn't that hard. It's just, you know, knowing where the parts need to go. And once you start understanding that, it's literally just like bloop, 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 there we go, computer. Uh-oh. I got the wrong side. All right, so everything's out of the case now. Let's go ahead and close this thing up. And this case should sell well. It's a pretty niche case, but for the people who love small form factor cases, it's awesome. And I think the company doesn't really put them out too often, so I should be able to get people on this pretty easily. My son is building his second PC. This one has been a challenge for him. Yeah, I feel like it takes a couple of times before you really start getting it. Cause I first tried to build in a smaller case and it was hard for me. And then I end up moving to a larger case, and then I end up adding pieces to my machine, and now I'm finally where I am at now, where I can just build stuff and it's like quick and easy. Last question before I have to go to sleep. What is the one thing you wish you knew before starting photography? That is such a hard one. I think it depends on what type of photography you're doing again. With dealing with people and customers and weddings, it's more, like I said again, it's more customer service. And that's the stuff I wish I knew more before I started, because I kind of jumped in fast, even though I didn't really know the customer service side of photography, and I got burnt for that. So I think that's the biggest thing I wish I knew, was like how to vet your couples, how to talk to your couples, how to you know, just really set expectations the right way, all that kind of stuff. Now again, that's mainly for client facing photographers and like wedding photographers and stuff, because that stuff makes a difference. Also, this advice about pooping before the wedding, it really is valid advice. Like, in all seriousness, because if you don't, you're gonna have a hard time during the wedding day, especially if you got one of those poops you can't hold back. You know what I'm talking about? Like, them boys are gonna come out no matter what. Like, you have to find a toilet. There's no other option. Come on, you. Dang, bro, you gonna do that to me? Should have done it the right way in the first place, John. Yep, I should have. What are the specs of that PC? So it was a i5 9600K. Where's my box? Yeah. i5 9600K, and it had a AMD 5500 XT graphics card in it. And yeah, pretty straightforward. It had 32 gigs of RAM. Pretty nice little setup, actually. Yo, why is this not lining up correctly? Gotta go, John. I really like your vids and personality. Thank you so much. Maybe one day I'll hit 1 million subs, but we'll see. I'm just kind of doing this YouTube thing for fun. Honestly, like, hitting 50K like I did, I wasn't even expecting that. Yo. Now I gotta unscrew the whole thing. But yeah, this was a nice little computer. Like, it was working, it was doing well. Kind of sad I have to get rid of it, but again, the Mac Mini I got, I'm only gonna really use it for like in-person workshops. Like, I'll bring it with me so I can do my presentations and stuff. My wife is mainly gonna be using it, and you know, she's not into computers like that. So having the Hackintosh was not really, she was like scared of it all the time. She's like, what if I break it? What if I do the wrong thing? What if I update something and then it stops working? And I'm like, yeah, let's get you a Mac Mini so that if something happens, it doesn't turn into, see, this is why you always building these weird Hackintosh. I just want a working computer. Be patient, John. You don't want to devalue the case. Yeah, right. Just break the whole thing and then try and sell it. Here's a busted case. There we go, yeah. I should have put this part on first so I could line it up correctly. Really love your videos. Yourself and Omar. DPR reviews are the reason I jumped on to YouTube. Awesome. Those are all great channels too. Omar is awesome. I'm mad too because before I really started getting into YouTube, I lived in New Jersey. And I didn't know where Omar lived exactly, but I knew I lived right by him. And after we talked a couple times, he told me like what area he lived in. I mean, guys, I'm talking, I was like probably 5 to 10 minutes away from Omar. Like we could have been doing videos together and stuff. It would have been hype. But I didn't really start doing YouTube until I moved back to North Carolina. So some dude was selling PS5 pics on eBay. Yo, these scalpers are out here like taking people's whole lives. Like it's kind of sad to watch scalpers, because so my big thing about it, right, is yes, there's a demand for it, but the scalpers make the demand higher than it should be. You know, like, and they do it for their own profit. And like how like you have to be a bad person. And I get making money. I get it. You know, I'm an entrepreneur myself. Like I get trying to jump on trends and make that money, but like, guys, you know, I don't know, man. It gets to a point where it's like you're just screwing people over now to like make your money. It's like, I don't know. There's a middle ground to me. One big thing that stands out, and it's a historical, it happens in life all the time. You see it all the time. But if y'all have ever watched the movie Metropolis, which is probably one of my hands down most favorite movies ever, and it's like a silent film. It's so good. If you have not watched Metropolis, check it out. It's like an old German film. But you just see this premise of like, for all the people who are living the high life, you know, living it up in the big city, there's like all these people underground who have to like slave away for them to live like that. So for me, I can't bring myself to do that, knowing that I'm basically making life harder for someone else. I can't. So, you know, I make my money. I make what I need to feed myself and my family. You know, I make enough to have a little bit of luxuries, and I leave it at that. Because, again, I want other people to be able to do the same for themselves. I need to go back and rewatch Metropolis. It's so good. I love that film so much. John's always got the best laugh. How long before someone catches up to Apple processors? I'm wondering if Apple had a breakthrough or just a clever innovation. True. I will really know when Apple starts releasing like their Mac Pros. Like if they throw out there like 128 or 248 Mac Pros, that's gonna see. That'll really tell us if their processors are like life-changing or if they're just kind of like better because they're, you know, one whole system. Jersey, stand up. Where in Jersey were you? I was in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. So right there by like Rutherford and all them good places. I lived there for about 4 years. So I was still working in New York, but I lived in Jersey. Because at that point I had kids. And I just, you know, props to anyone living in New York with kids. I don't know how they do it. Cool. So the case is done. I just need to put the rest of these screws in a bag so I can include them with the case. And now we can gut this motherboard for all of its good stuff. Other than personal preference, if you can, what do you think about photographers that shoot Fuji for everything but their professional work? I mean, I think it's cool. Because I understand, like, I get it, especially for professional work, people saying they want full frame. I have nothing against that whatsoever. Fujifilm, especially if you're not doing, like, the 100% professional stuff, Fuji is great cameras. Like, I really want a X100V, I think the newest one is, for my, like, carry around to hang out with the kids camera. Shoot it in, like, JPEG and it's a great little camera. I want one so bad. So yeah, I have nothing against that, and I think especially for photographers, if you want to be able to separate your like personal work versus your actual professional, I think it's totally cool to be like, I shoot Fuji when I'm just whatever, and then I have my other cameras for professional work. Y'all see the video of the kid's football coach who was smacking the hell out of... What? That's horrible. East Rutherford, yep, right in that area. So you really liking the M1 chip? Yes, they're good. I kind of wish I would have gotten 16 gigs, but again, that computer is not mainly for me to use, so it's fine. I'm not gonna be working it super hard. Before I finish this up, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I have to find some rubbing alcohol. So I will BRB. All right. We got some rubbing alcohol. Good old rubbing alcohol. What you about to rub with alcohol? That's for cleaning off the thermal paste on the processor. So first we got this M.2 drive here in the back. We're gonna take that out. Bloop. And I have a external enclosure somewhere. So here's my little external enclosure. So I can plop this in here now and then format it for the next person who will be using it. So a little 500 gig M.2 SSD. Uh-oh, which way does this go? Oh, you gotta, that's annoying. Is that really how it works? You gotta press this unlock thing. Why is it still locked? What, y'all? Was it always like this? Can I just push IC? Check out some Fujifilm recipes. Yeah, I have yet to use recipes, but they look so cool. What's up? Good new days. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're just breaking down this computer that I built and don't need anymore, and no one wants to buy it as a full built computer. So now we're gonna sell it for parts, which it will definitely sell for parts. I don't know why it won't sell as a full build, but I guess that's a lot. It's kind of a lot to invest in. You buy a computer and someone else random built it, and for all you know, they like messed it up. Then you get it and it doesn't work. So I guess I get it. So here's my RAM. So my machine has 128 gigs in it now. This is 32 gigs. Which way did these things go? I never know. Oh, wait a minute. I think I see it. Ta-da! Also, you can back up Fujifilm camera with the X Acquire app. Yo, you know what's cool? I recently tried out the app that lets you process your Fujifilm files from your camera, so that you get the exact, you know, like JPEG look, so you can convert your RAWs. It's a clunky app, but it actually was really cool to use. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, this is nice. All right, so we got our RAM out. We have another M.2 drive here. Uh-oh. Let's not forget to put this back. The PS5 scalpers are something else. Someone bought a PS5 from a scalper on eBay, but it was a PS4 with a PS5 cover. Oh, no, and it had a PS1 on the end. See, that's like, come on, man. How do you get your first clients in the wedding photography business after you have been second shooting for some time? So the biggest thing I would say is try to find really low-key small weddings that don't have a lot going on. That way they don't expect much, they're not paying much, and then there's not as much responsibility riding on you. That's a great way to start. I use services like Thumbtack to start out. Thumbtack's not the best anymore, but just any kind of online service that helps you find people is a great way to start out, especially for low paying, you know, just like tiny weddings. But start out with small weddings. Don't be taking on full-blown 8-hour full wedding. Don't do it. Do not do that to yourself. Because you'll get in there and it'll be like too much, and then they'll be expecting so much from you, and the next thing you know, it's not a good way to go. So here's our other M.2 drive. It's had 2 of them in there, and this is just a cover. Someone bought one and had a brick. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, some scalpers really are just people, you know, just trying to make an extra buck. And I get it. I still don't like it, but I get it. And then other scalpers are just out there trying to like hurt people's feelings, you know? It's horrible. It's like, why would you do that to somebody? Like, just buy the thing and flip it. You know what I mean? Like, let's not be out here trying to take people's lives away from them. So this is the CPU cooler. So under this is our actual processor. And this is where the rubbing alcohol comes in. What are your thoughts about the Canon M50? I don't know much about it, but I have been, a lot of the new Canon mirrorless stuff is pretty impressive looking. Again, if I had never made my way to Fuji, I would definitely be hanging out on good old Team Canon. Definitely, no question about it. Oh, so much dust. This is still screwed in on the back, isn't it? Yeah. Here, let me try not to drop this whole thing as I unscrew it. How you feeling about the industry shifting from DSLRs? I like the D850, but these mirrorless cameras. Yeah, I've been on mirrorless now for 3 years. So, you know, I wasn't the earliest adopter, but I definitely was, you know, ahead of the curve, especially switching to Fuji. Because really, you know, the last, let's say 5 years, the only way you were moving to mirrorless was either Sony or Fuji, you know, like Nikon and Canon were still doing the traditional thing for a long time. I like mirrorless cameras. There's a lot of advantages to them. I think the worst part is, you know, battery life and stuff like that. But aside from that, mirrorless cameras are really cool. Just the electronic viewfinder in itself is probably one of the biggest advantages. The Fuji GFX 100 is a dream. Oh, I should have never used one. Because now I want to buy one, but it's too expensive. Want you to be my mentor. I'm thinking about starting some mentoring. Again, it's hard sometimes finding the time, especially I got 3 kids and stuff. Oh, look at it. Oh, look at all that thermal paste everywhere. I guess I put too much on. Such a mess. Okay. And this is where the rubbing alcohol comes in. Yeah, that's the truth. Someone in the UK who worked at Amazon was fired after he got caught pretending to deliver PS5s, but it was just taking them home to resell. Yeah, see, like that kind of stuff, y'all. It's just like the worst. I moved to Panasonic full frame, loving it so far. Awesome. I have the GFX 50R, and I have to say, I don't know if IBIS would change my love for it. The 50R, from what I saw, and I haven't used it that much, but from what I saw of it, it's much slower than the 100. The 100 is like the golden child. The 100 is so good. I was surprised at how fast it was. And mind you, it's still like medium format, so it's slow. But for a medium format, it's pretty fast. So there's our rubbing alcohol going to work. Getting all this thermal paste off. Make that thing shine. Woo! 3 kids, yeah, man. That's my biggest advice to anybody, especially starting out. If you ever have any like excuses of like, oh, I can't afford it, or, you know, I just have to keep working this job because there's no other way, I highly encourage you all to kind of change that way of thinking, because I quit my day job and started my photography business with 3 kids, or basically adding kids to the family every year, and as the sole income provider. My wife does not work. So, you know, if I can do that while having all these responsibilities of having kids and stuff, y'all can do it too. Especially if you're younger and the only responsibility you have is yourself and your bills. You know, really believe in yourself. You can do it. You really can. Because if I can do it while providing for like a full family, it's possible. You just have to take your time. Sometimes things don't work out as fast as you want it to. Again, I was at Squarespace for 4 years while I was also building my photography business. So like, you know, Squarespace gave me the cush job to make sure the bills got paid while I built my portfolio and stuff. And then after that, I quit my job. But see, again, when I quit, it was very, like, me and my wife just jumped to the wind. Like, we really just went out there for it, because we moved from New York to North Carolina. with no North Carolina portfolio. I never seconded in North Carolina. The only tie I had to North Carolina was the fact that I'm from here. And we just dipped with nothing else lined up. Only some money in the bank and the hope of, okay, like, you know, you got to make the photography work, because if not, then we're broke. While we had 2 kids and then added another one. So, like, it's possible. That's my biggest encouragement to anybody who just thinks that they're not able to do it. Like, really, trust in yourself and just do the work. You'll be good. God, the most stressful part of doing a PC is dealing with the processor, like, hands down. Let me get this ready so I have somewhere to put it. My overall goal is to become a fashion photographer for different magazine brands. I live in the Midwest region where it's completely dead. Ooh, what steps would you take? Honestly, I don't know if, like, getting outside of the Midwest region, but even if you were able to travel, which nowadays we already know that's a whole thing. But if you're able to travel to other places, and or even if you can find any fashion brands in the area that could use some help, just basically really try to find places where you can start at. But, like, I know I'm friends by 6 degrees of separation. My wife's friend, her boyfriend, his name is Simbrash. He does really awesome fashion stuff, but he travels out to, like, Italy and stuff all the time to do their fashion week. And while they're in New York, he, like, goes out to France and all these other places. So traveling really helps with that. How you gonna tell the judge at your trial, but Your Honor, I needed the new Spider-Man. I needed that new Spider-Man. That's why I was out here stealing in PS5s. Okay. Oh, thermal paste everywhere. How did I put too much? Okay, let's see if I can grab this. Oh God. Oh God. Don't break the processor. Oh God. Okay, we got it. I fight that mindset every day. And it honestly, it's the hardest mindset. And that's again why when I tell people it too, I don't try to sound like I'm on my high horse or anything like, ha ha, I did all these great things. It's just, I want to encourage you all that, like, you know, everyone, we all have our own situations and life throws us our curveballs. So, you know, I can't speak for anybody. All I can do is encourage you to let you know that, you know, while my situation wasn't the worst of situations, it also wasn't like it was a walk in the park, you know? Like, I had a whole family to provide for. It wasn't just me and my bills. Like, honestly, if I was doing the photography thing like I'm doing now, and it was just me, I'd be balling hard. You know, like, but I have all these extra responsibilities. I got mad mouths to feed. Me and my wife both had debt, which we're almost done paying off now, which is awesome. You know, there's a lot to it. So again, no high horse here. We all have our own things to go through. But, you know, if you don't have a lot of responsibilities, just bills, you can definitely work it out. It's not easy. Uh-oh. Am I still streaming? Okay. YouTube hating. But yeah, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it can be done. It's possible. Sometimes it just takes time. Oh, I'm like the worst. Congrats on taking care of that debt too. Yeah, we only have like $6,000 of debt left, which is like unbelievable. I can't believe it. Me and my wife are like, wow, how did we do this? And see, that's what I'm saying. Again, on one income, the biggest thing, like, we're on a budget. We have been for like the last 5 years now. And like, okay, yeah, budgets aren't that fun because you can't just spend your money however you want to, but you know, you write your budget that works for you in your life. You know, like I like playing video games, so I have a video game budget. Can I buy every single game that comes out? No. But I can at least save up my money now. And then when a game that I've been dying to get comes out, I can get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's within my budget. So stuff like that is huge too. Like just being real with yourself. Like, okay, John, you spend too much money on video games, so you can't do that like you used to anymore. Okay, let's switch it up then, I guess. Go get on a budget and be like, okay, let's cut down your games for the year to like 5 games rather than every single like big name game that drops. I'm having the worst time with this. It's not coming off the way I thought it would. I probably need some Q-tips too. What would you consider to be step 1 of starting a photography business? Step 1, in my opinion, is just getting the skill set under your belt. So starting a portfolio, just taking the time to build all that stuff. And that can take some time. Oh no, it's everywhere. What have I done? Ah! Y'all can tell I don't build PCs that often. Budgeting actually equals so much freedom. It's true. It really is true. If you can live below your means, because the biggest part that people miss, and I've been thinking about making a video about this, is like when you're overextending yourself in your money, all you're doing is working to just have the things. You know what I mean? Like you buy a house that's too big for yourself. Now you're working mad hard to be able to pay off the mortgage every month. You know, like you're not helping yourself. You're just sitting there working just so you can have the thing and be like, look, I have a house. And it's like, whereas when you're on a budget and you're living below your means, but you're living comfortably, you know, don't live broke, live comfortably. But when you live comfortably like that, then you can actually be like, okay, cool. I have like money I can spend and the place I'm living in is comfortable. It may not be the most luxury, like whatever, but oh man, I got this stuff everywhere. I put way too much thermal paste. How do you know when your portfolio is ready? Honestly, you'll never know. It pretty much gets to a place where you have kind of like your best work, what you consider your best at the time, and you just have to roll with it. Like there's no other option. You just have to kind of roll with what you have. And then from there you keep building. Portfolio building is one of those things that like, it's a continual thing. It never stops. Like you'll be forever making your portfolio better or adding stuff to it or swapping stuff in and out. It's like a constant thing. And again, your portfolio doesn't even have to be big. You know, just make sure you have enough and you're good to go. Oh God, it's everywhere. What did I do? Why did I put so much thermal paste? What's the plan for this live stream? We're just chilling and asking some questions and answering while I'm gutting this computer that I made that I'm gonna sell. I tried to sell it as a whole single computer, but no one wanted to buy it like that, so now I am gutting it for its parts so I can sell all the parts separately. And yeah, that's the plan. Hanging out with John. Seeing what he does on a normal day. My plant in the back is dying. Look at my boy. Plants aren't for me. I tried my best. God, I got the thermal paste on my nails. Okay, so while we're here, let me go ahead and close up this so I can put away the motherboard. And I don't know how this is supposed to go on there. I'm just gonna pop it there. I feel like there is an actual way it's supposed to go. Remove. Does it face this way? But yeah, I don't have anything to edit right now, so no editing for now. Just me and my beautiful face and my beautiful hands. I have side question. We have a big wedding expo the first week of January. On average, how many clients do you book during that time? This will be my first wedding. So wedding expos are interesting, and I've done them a couple of times myself. And I do think they have a place depending on how you want to advertise yourself. How many weddings you'll get from that, it's hard to say. It's very hard to say. You can't really just equate that to a number. But what I found, especially like if you're in your local area, is that, how do I cover this up? Oh wait, I see. It shows you with the, but expos are great for getting your name out there and really getting your face kind of familiar with clients. I've booked a fair amount of weddings from just doing expos alone, and I think they're a great place to start. I have no idea what I'm doing, y'all. So this has the little triangle. So you would think it goes in here like this. But it doesn't seem like it fits. How do they do such a thing? But yeah, expos are great to get your name out there. But don't expect to book a lot from an expo. Just get out there, get your name out there. Make sure that clients know who you are and what you're about. And they'll either come back to you or they won't. I'm about to just leave it on top like this. And be like, there you go. It's covering the top. Oh God. Yeah, let me stop messing around. I'm about to break this thing. If you mess up the pins, you mess up the whole thing. So I'm about to literally just... buy one of them fake plants from Walmart or something. When do you think you'll next upgrade your camera bodies? I'm trying to go back to the DSLR type. Yeah, I need to stop upgrading because I keep like buying the newest one and it's like pointless. You know, the X-T3 to 4 wasn't that big of an upgrade. The only reason I have a 4 is because I use it for video, so it makes sense. But the 3 is great. I tend to keep my camera for like at least 2 years before upgrading. So I might try to get back on that cycle, but you hear me saying that now, and watch at some point, Fuji's gonna drop an X-T5 or something. You're gonna see me being like, oh yeah, X-T5. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm trying to get back on, you know, not upgrading every 2 seconds. The problem with tech is that like if you don't stay up to date, by the time you want to like resell your stuff, it's basically like done. Like that's what happened with my iMac. I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna sell this iMac, and then it had a problem with the hard drive, and I was like, oh no, the hard drive is busted, I guess. And so I went to Apple support like, hey bro, can y'all help me? And they're like, your thing is outdated, sorry. And I was like, great, how awesome is that? That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Let's get a Q-tip. Let's get some Q-tips. Gonna sound like the the processor has IBIS. It's in there shaking around. All right. We got Sir Q-tips. Yeah, I've never really cleaned off thermal paste before. So I'm over here like struggling. I didn't realize thermal paste was such an ordeal. I'm about to have my wife clean it. She has like magic hands. I give her things to clean and they come back looking like brand new and I'm like, but how? My iPad Pro is working for me, but I do not do a lot of pro work. As my pro work increases, I will supplement my iMac with a new MacBook Pro. Yeah. Yeah, grab one of those new M1s. They're good. They're surprisingly good. I'm waiting for them to make a Mac Pro, and at this point, Hackintoshing is pretty much, it's not totally dead yet, but once they phase out all the Intel Macs, then hacking is pretty much done. So I'm already kind of preparing myself mentally to be like, okay, you know, you're not gonna be able to do this anymore. Oh, lost my top down. I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but it did. The battery died. How sad. I was hoping having it plugged in would help, but it wasn't enough, I guess. Have you ever thought of exporting your photos in the new HEIF format instead of JPEG since it supports 10-bit color? I haven't actually, but I feel like things are starting to move that way, so I probably should start considering it. I've just still been doing like all the old school stuff, the good old school ways of things. I'm surprised. That was the XT4. I'm surprised it died already. Ice Q-tips and Band-Aids. School nurses' favorite solutions. I'm getting there, y'all. It's looking pretty clean. Looking pretty good. Can you do a video on JPEG Mini? Ooh, I should. You know, the reason I haven't is because JPEG Mini is so straightforward. It'd be like a 2-minute video. I'd be like, hey, turn the thing on. Put your pictures in. There you go. JPEG Mini. Yay. JPEG Mini is great, though. I've been using it for years. Oh, yeah, but I did see that they updated to the whole HEIF. But I didn't really have any opinions on it, so I was just kind of like, that's cool. I'm gonna resell this and be like, hi, I suck at cleaning off thermal paste. I cleaned it as best my hands could. I'm sorry. Traveling is definitely the next step. It's just super hard to go anywhere during the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah, like this year, for my YouTube at least, I had all kinds of plans. I was gonna do an in-person workshop in New York. I was gonna do a lot more like street photography videos, and just like every time I had a wedding in New York, I was planning to do video content while I was up there. And yeah, that got shut down real quick. So this year has been rough, and honestly next year is only going to be but so much better. I mean, they're just now finishing a vaccine, but it's still not going to get too much better for a bit. Okay, so that's as clean as it's going to get. Because I suck at cleaning. How do you set up your Fuji to take Christmas photos? Lights at night. Hello from Chapel. Yo, we got so many North Carolina folks in the house. Makes me feel right at home. I'm thinking about doing an in-person workshop for y'all here in North Carolina, since traveling is not really happening. Probably not in Raleigh though. I'm almost thinking like Charlotte or something. I feel like more people would be able to come out, but we'll see. Oh, what have I done? Can't even pack stuff right. Oh my goodness, it's everywhere. So for setting up your Fuji for like Christmas light, that comes into low light situation shootings. And what I tend to do is I'll raise my ISO to like 800 or so. So I can pick up background ambiance. My shutter speed will be at about 160. And my flash power would be at like it'd be like 32 or 16. That way I can light up my subject, the person standing in front of me, and then also get a bit of the light from the background, from the lights in the background. Stream a workshop and charge admissions. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about doing the workshop in person and then also streaming it, so that the people, you know, because I'm only going to get so many people in person just because of the current situation. So vaccine will still don't know how long the immunity, like, yeah, so 20, you know, everyone's like 2021 is gonna be great. I don't know, y'all. You know, I'm hoping for it to be better, but you know, I'm just trying to be realistic here. Any idea how I can convert TIFF to HEIF? Lightroom doesn't support. I know JPEG Mini, the newest version, does HEIF. I haven't tried it yet, but that's probably your best bet. If you stream it, you'll get more folks. Oh yeah, that's like what I would probably do is I would charge like very minimal for the online people. It would cost a little bit more for the in-person people just because like they'd have to help pay for the actual space I would do it in. But aside from that, yeah, have online folks be able to tune in. That'd be cool. I'd be so down for that. I guess once the video is out there, though, might make selling in the future harder. It depends. Something like a workshop, I'd probably stream it and then not have it be like public, and then you could like purchase it later if you wanted to. New leadership in that White House, yeah. I'm not even gonna get on that subject. Diet Coke. Thoughts on the 23 F2 versus... Okay, so I love my 23 F2, but recently I don't know if mine is faulty or what, but it's not sharp all the way through. I've used the 23 F1 and it's nice. Or the F1.4. So I'm a big fan. I didn't think I would like the F1.4 lenses as much as I do. I've used them like twice now. So I've come to find that the 23 F1.2 and the 16 1.4, those grew on me after using them. The 35 F1.4 I don't like. The shutter, the focusing's like slow. I just don't like it. But yeah, I'm thinking myself about upgrading to the 23 1.4 and the 16 1.4. My only biggest gripes is that they're so much bigger than what I'm used to. Like I love those small little Fuji lenses, like the 23 f2. It's such a good size. Get in there, you. Go. Go. Okay, we got our cooler. Ah! As I lose the parts. Let me turn my top down on for the 2 seconds it probably charged up. When I was able to do music events in Detroit, I used to use the fastest I can get due to low light. Yep. Before my street stuff, yeah, the F2s are for street, and it's so like no one thinks you're even doing anything. You know, get an XT30 with an F2 lens on it, and people don't even take you seriously. They're like, "Oh, a tourist." You're like, "Actually, I'm a professional street photographer." You'd never know. Like they would literally have no idea whatsoever. Like at weddings, I love doing it, just showing up and people being like, "Oh, who is this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." You know, like y'all wouldn't believe it, but yeah. We got the Philippines in the house. Hello, welcome to the stream. Mind giving a brief overview of what's in your camera bag on a wedding day? So I do have a film on that, or a YouTube video, but I will go over it. So let me see if I can actually. Oh, I got thermal paste everywhere. Let me see. I'll give y'all the real view. Like I'll break out the gear just for y'all, so y'all can see it with your eyes. Let me just. What have I done? Did I get it all over myself? It's everywhere. My wife's gonna be like, "Bro, man. Bro, man." Okay. I think my top-down view is at least charged up a little bit more. Probably not enough. So I can't show you everything because I'm using most of my stuff, but let's see if I can, let's see what we can find that's not in use. Let's see. 23, 35, 50, and then the 16. So these are my main pieces right here. See with your brain, not your eyes. I mean, technically, I guess that is true. We got my bag here, and we got my camera, and that's it. Y'all, I do weddings so light. I'm sure a lot of photographers are like, "Really? That's all you bring?" Yes, that's it. I want to be light. Okay. Let's see if the top down wants to work for us. I don't know how much battery it has left, but we'll try. So wedding day gear. Generally, I have 2 Fujifilm X-T3s with the battery grip on them. With the battery grip, I have 4 additional batteries, so 1 change of the grip, and that gets me through a full wedding day because there's a battery in the camera and then 2 in the grip, and it uses all 3. That's the one thing I love about the grip, is that it uses the whole thing. So I burn through the 2, swap them out, burn through the 2 again, and then get to the last one. I can get like a 12-hour wedding day off of this. I do turn off my camera when I'm not using it, just to make sure. So I usually have 2 of these. Hey man, what's your pricing for prints, if you don't mind? I cannot remember. I really can't. So my widest lens is the 16 f2.8, but I'm using that one right here, so I can't show it to you, but it's here. And then I have the good old 23 f2. So that's my like kind of wide, kind of close up Then I have the 35 f2. That's my closer portrait. So I'll use this while people are getting ready and stuff. So at the start of my wedding day, when I'm doing all the getting ready, because I know I'm gonna be in smaller rooms like hotel rooms and stuff like that, I'm usually using the 23, the 35, and maybe the 16 if I don't have a lot of space. I do want to swap my 16 out for the 1.4. The only thing I hated about the 1.4 is it's so big. And then for my portraits and for my longer lens, I tend to use the 50 f1. This thing has grown on me. I love it. I didn't think I would love it at first, but yeah, it's nice. I like it a lot. So I'm using 50 f1 all the time now. If I have a wedding where the church is super particular and won't let me stand wherever I want to during the ceremony, then I have a 90, and y'all can kind of see it back there behind me. But I have a 90 just in case, but I never use it. It's too close for me. I don't like it being that close. So that's my camera and lenses. And then I'll generally have this bag with me. Oh, what? When you have babies and they just put things in like random places. So this bag holds on to everything else I have. So inside of here, I'll generally always have an extension tube. So the extension tube is so that I can do macro shots. So I'll put it on my 50 and it turns into a macro shot. So in my bag, I'll have this and then my longer lens. And then on top of that, I have my flashes. So I have 2 flashes in here. These are V862s, the F version for Fujifilm. So Godox, pretty straightforward. And with these, I also in my bag have the Magmod Mag Sphere. That's my flash modifier. And I have 2 of these. You can see the other one in the bag there. And it also has a Mag Sphere under it. And that's all I bring. That's it. 4 lenses, 2 flashes. Every now and then I'll get into some off-camera flash stuff, but usually I don't. Just 4 lenses, 2 flashes. 2 cameras, 4 lenses, 2 flashes. I wish my Canon lenses were this small. It's so like, look at it. You're like, yeah, this is a 50mm lens. It's tiny. That's the thing. Every time I start using like the bigger, like, you know, like the 50 f1, the first thing that comes to mind is like, God, this thing is so big. I'm used to like these little mini lenses. Oh, there it goes again. Sorry, y'all. Top-down view has given out. But yeah, it's just, these are, and they're so light and they're so small. They're so good. What is the ideal shutter speed to use for portrait photos? So when it comes, and I'm super kind of opinionated here on specs. So I'm never a big fan of showing specs for photos because your shutter speed and ISO and all that is dependent on what you were trying to get to with your shot and then also your lighting. So there's not a perfect shutter speed for portraits. There's like a range you want to be in, but that will change depending on how much light you have or don't. So when it comes down to questions like that, it really comes down to understanding the exposure triangle. And I plan on doing a video on this at some point, but I want to do a video on how I approach getting my exposure when I walk into a room, like my thought process on getting my camera settings where I want them to be and keeping them, because that's probably the first main skill you want to get, especially if you're doing something like event photography where it's like really fast. Like you need to be able to step into a room and be like, okay, my ISO should be around here because I want my shutter speed to be here. I know I'm shooting wide open, so on and so forth. So ideal shutter speed for portraits, there's not really one. The main tip is don't go under 1/160th of a second for your shutter speed. Because if you have people moving, then you're going to get motion blur depending on how fast they're moving with their hands and stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, there's not really like, there's not a perfect anything. You can do it all kinds of different ways depending on what you're doing. Like if you're in a dark room with a couple that you know you're going to pose them and they're just going to stay in that one spot and not move, then you can go down below 1/160th, especially if your camera has IBIS, if you want to. if you know you can handle that. Or if you're in super bright situation, you can have your ISO all the way down at like 100, or I know like the X-T3 goes down to 80. That's its like low ISO, and then have your shutter speed way up at 8,000. It's really just what works for the exposure. But yeah, I'm definitely, I want to do a video. And one thing I've found that I like to do, short videos are cool and all, but I like long form videos because I like to really like explain it for you all. So I would really, what I was planning on doing is like really getting into being like, okay, this is how I handle lighting. When I first walk into a room, this is my thought process of how I get exposure, and then give y'all a couple of real world examples of it and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Hey, do you like to use flashlight or continuous light? You know, because I'm a natural light photographer, I found that I like continuous light better. I don't use flash very often, and if I am using any kind of light, it tends to be flash. But if I'm in a situation where I can use continuous, I'd rather do that because it feels the most like natural light. So for your redundancy and backups, do you have a software that mirrors your drives? If so, what software do you use? I don't have a software that mirrors my drives, but I do. I use Backblaze for just backing up all my drives, so that's to the cloud. And then outside of that, I just manage all my drives like manually. Which I honestly want to gut my computer and maybe change out some of my hard drive situation. But, you know, I have like my working drive. I have a backup drive. So when I import my photos, it goes to 2 places, not just one. And then I have like an external hard drive for a backup and different stuff like that. Personally, one thing I struggle with is client-photographer relationship. I guess my question is, do you have any tips breaking the ice during your shoots? That is definitely one of the hardest parts. I know one thing that worked for me is really just leaning into my own awkwardness. I'm not the most social person in the world. Like, I'm not the greatest at talking and all that kind of stuff. But I found that just leaning into who you are helps. And when you're meeting with your couples and being on a photo shoot, that helps as well. And because I have this like weird, silly kind of awkwardness, I play into that while I pose them and just kind of use that to my advantage rather than trying to be the perfect person for them, if that makes sense. But before you even get to the shoot, you should have met your couple either in person or on a Zoom or something and talked to them. Make sure that y'all vibed well. So if y'all are already vibing well, when you get to the shoot, it won't be as bad because they'll get an idea of who you are and how you act and stuff like that. Godox M160 is a continuous light at 60 watts. That's about the size of a large flash. I think that's what I use for my continuous, actually. Oh no, I have a SL60W Godox. Mine is the plug-in type, but I need to get a battery type so I can take it with me on shoots. But I have mine connected to a mag box, which is Magmod makes a 24-inch softbox. So like right now it's kind of dark on me, so if I wanted to turn it up a little bit and get some more light on me in the front, you know, I can just turn it up real quick. But yeah, I like continuous light because it makes, I don't know if y'all can see that difference, but yeah, I'm like lit a little bit more now. You can see it coming from the side here. No raid. Yep, no raid. I have my stuff in so many multiple places that I feel good. The only raid stuff I have is on my my NAS, but I have a Synology NAS. That's my main archive, and it just like died on me the other day, and I'm like, man. The ML60 is battery powered. Nice. Yeah, I need to get the battery powered one. The SL60 is plug-in, so it's good for at home, but or I mean, if I do a session where I know I can like set up and all that stuff. I might have to put that gauze back in. I think I'm still bleeding. My mouth hurts. What made you switch from Canon to Fuji? So when I switched, so I was using the Canon 6D at the time, The Canon 6D is a 1 SD card slot, and I was shooting weddings on that for like 2 to 3 years. And then I started getting paranoid. I was like, I really need a 2 card slot camera, and I wasn't trying to pay $50 billion. So at the time, the Canon 6D Mark II was about to drop, and I was really just like, okay, let this thing have 2 card slots on it, and it didn't. They kept that for the Mark IV, and the Mark IV was mad expensive. So at the time, my mentor was like, he's a Fuji shooter. He had been for a long time. So he was like, try my camera out. And I was an X-T2. And I just fell in love with it. So a lot of it was price, really. I wasn't trying to pay the Mark IV prices, but I needed 2 card slots. And I found Fuji, and it looked good. It worked good. I loved the way it looked. It was easy to use. So yeah, I just jumped ship, sold all my stuff. I would like to ask you, because I am confused about choosing which more good for Sony, A6465, my budget. So a question like that, I can't answer too well because I don't know the cameras that well. I can tell you IBIS is one of those, I talked about this earlier in the stream, but just remember that camera companies are going to try and sell you on features. That's what they do. That's how they make their stuff. Like, that's just what it is. But at the end of the day, features don't matter. So again, I've talked about it before. I'm not a huge fan of IBIS for still shooting because there's only but so many places that you're going to use IBIS as a still shooter. So instead of just being like, oh, it has this and that, and the bells and the whistles and IBIS, and how are you going to use it? How do you need it? Do you shoot events where people are moving around a lot, where IBIS is not going to help you that much? Are you going to be able to pose your people and they won't move? Then maybe IBIS will work for you. But you know, you have to weigh that out. You can't just be like, oh, this has like 5 more features than the last one, I need it. Like, it doesn't work like that. At the end of the day, especially if you start getting into film photography, which helps you with that mindset, it's a box that opens a thing that lets light in to your sensor or your film and exposes it and closes. And that's all it does. It does nothing else. When you get into that mindset, it's easier to pick cameras because you base it off of what you're shooting and what you need. If you're a stills life photographer, IBIS might be nice. You know, if you're landscape, IBIS might be nice. But most of the time, if you're landscape, your stuff's on a tripod anyway, so then IBIS is pointless. So yeah, just that's my biggest thing for everyone. Like, be careful about getting hung up on specs. Because the companies are going to make the specs look good. But again, they're trying to sell cameras, so that's fine. It's more so like, what do you need? What will you benefit from? What is actually helpful to you? I need to go to the dentist. Skid, they'll be like, hey man, gotta pull all your teeth out. Yeah, I had a tooth that had a root canal, that had a crown, and then the crown came out. So then I just had this big gaping hole. So we decided to pull it, and I was supposed to get an implant at the beginning of this year, but like literally right around my appointment was when COVID broke down. So for the last like 6-7 months, I've just had like no tooth, and it's like your main molar, you know, like the main molar that you chew on. So I have like no tooth there. I went to the dentist yesterday, so they put in like the post. Because what they have to do, they got to pull your tooth out, drill into your, like, jawline, put in this stuff, bone grafting, so it, like, grows your jaw bigger so that they can put a post in it, and then they put a fake tooth on it. So right now, I just got my little fake post. My mouth is bumping. I got stitches in there, so honestly, I can't really talk too much, because too much talking, like, the stitches move and my mouth starts hurting, but, now I gotta wait for that to heal, and then after that they'll put the tooth on it, and I'll finally have a molar again. Have you looked into the Godox V1 and its accessory system? It's much lighter than having to use Magmod accessories. I haven't actually. I didn't know it had its own accessories. I might have to check that out. Do you think full frame is important for wedding photos? No, I do not. And I shoot my wedding photos on crop sensor. Again, a lot of the reasons, and to each their own, but a lot of the reasons that people lean on full frame are all reasons that you can handle well if you know photography. So again, I'm not trying to act like I'm the best photographer, but everyone always is like, low light this, low light that, low light this. Bro, when are you in a low light situation and you're not using flash? Like, that's the point. You know, if it's too dark, make your own light. That's why you have flashes. So it's the same people who will ask all these questions about off-camera flash, but then also be like, I need a camera that's good in low light. The only real thing you need in low light is a camera that can focus. Oh, they getting them. But you know what I mean? Like, how much of low light can your camera focus in? That's what matters, but that's not low light performance. Everyone's like, how high can you set the ISO? You shouldn't have to do that. Use your flashes to light the room up. So like, yeah. So again, most people who talk about full frame will be like, okay, you know, low light performance is better and you get more background blur. That's it? That, you know, but it's so much better than crop sensor. It's like, is it? I've been on crop for almost 4 years now. Like, I'm fine with it. But again, your camera is just a tool with a shutter that opens and exposes the sensor. So yes, every camera has its own quirks and you have to understand its limits because again, it's a tool. It's the same as like people buying graphics cards and trying to run their games. You know, like some graphics cards are going to be able to run games at higher frames per second because they're just better at it. But at the end of the day, it's just a tool. You know, if you use it for what you're using it for, that's what you're using it for. If you don't shoot full frame, you can't say you use full frame. Cause yeah, I switched from a full frame. I was on a 6D, that was full frame. Maybe people want to still use natural light in low light situations. I don't know. I'm a natural light photographer. Using natural light in low light is like, why? What do you do? And again, it depends on what you're doing, but I just don't. You know, I've been doing weddings for like 7 years now. There's never a time where the lighting is that low and I'm like not breaking out the flash. I have been in situations where I'm shooting low light, natural light, but it's because like I'm in control. Like a standard wedding day, the only time you're in low light situation is during the reception. Like on a standard perfect wedding day, the only low light situation you're in is reception. And at that point, it's nighttime and you need flashes. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like the justifications, I think my biggest gripe with it is people justify full frame just because they hear everyone else saying it too. No one's actually, not no one, but there's a lot of photographers who don't actually say like, these are the reasons why I like full frame and this is what I use it for. And I understand cameras and that crop sensor is not a disadvantage. It's just a different sensor and you get certain attributes from it. And I like the attributes of full. Most people don't do that. There's just a lot of photographers who are just out here like, you have to do full frame. You have to. That's what professionals, full frame. Why? Because that's what everyone does. That's basically my issue with it. You know, I just want some understanding. That's all. Like when you know why you use full frame and you want to, that's cool. Like, Manny Ortiz made a video recently where he explained some of the reasons why he liked full frame. And so that's cool. He explained the reasons why he liked full frame. It's not just, oh, full frame is what the professionals use, so I have a full frame too. You know, like, no, it doesn't matter. I'm wild. I'll add green to a $10,000 ISO image. Just grain on grain. Your images speak for themselves. APS-C is obviously fine. I've never seen an image you made through. Yeah. And that's, again, if you don't even know what stuff was shot on, it's hard to even tell. So that's my like issue with it, is that people will swear by full frame. And then if you put a bunch of pictures in front of them, you can barely tell if something's full frame or crop. Like, really. So at the end of the day, it's just knowing your camera and knowing how it works. You know, if you'd rather just go full frame because there's more information online and it's what everyone compares stuff with, And you don't have to be like, oh, a 23 lens is actually a 35. If you know, if you don't want to deal with that, that's fine. You know, get a full frame and go that way. Just found your channel, learning a lot from your videos, tips on printing. I don't print a lot myself. I usually do all of it online. So a nice cheap place to start out is Artifact Uprising. That's what all these prints behind me are from. They use recycled paper and I just like the way it looks. It's good stuff. The colors come out great. It looks good. But other than that, I don't really have any prints. Make sure your monitors are calibrated, and that's about it. Oh, let me show y'all my new little thing. Yeah. Let's turn back the top down for the 2 seconds that it'll want to stay on, because for some reason the XT4 wants to charge mad slow. What's up? How's your day? Hello, folks. It's beautiful. Look at it in all of its glory. Oh, look at that thing. So this is not in my computer right now because Mac OS isn't supporting the AMD 6000 series just yet. So I'm waiting for a Big Sur update that will support this. But I have popped it in there and tried it out a little bit, and this thing is beastie. So I'm hoping to be able to use it for more photo editing and stuff, because it's good. It's good. Uh-oh, did I not put this in? There it goes. When are you getting another GFX to keep? I don't know. That thing costs so much money. It costs so much money. I really want to get one, but it's expensive. It's so expensive. And I just can't, just because like it's good for weddings, but it's slow compared to like the XT3 and XT4. So that makes it hard to want to switch to it, but we'll see. I'm still trying to set up a full wedding day of 2 GFX systems so y'all can see like the GFX in some actual action. So we'll see. Do you have a certain settings in Lightroom for exporting before uploading your client galleries to CloudSpot, particular sharpening? Yeah, I do actually. Let me see if I can show y'all real quick. Show you my export settings. All right. Y'all just gonna get my side head view for the moment, but but the images are lit. Yeah, and I mean it's not slow, but comparative to an XT3, it's definitely slow. Like it'll be good for the beginning of a wedding day up until like the reception, I feel like. And that's what I would do. I would like 2 GFX for the whole day until I got to the reception, and then like. But I really want to try. I want to try and shoot a whole thing with only GFXs and see how it turns out. Yo, Lightroom, come on. It is not that hard. Let's get this microphone over this way. Favorite Fuji profile is Classic Chrome. That's what I'm using here. That's what I use on pretty much everything. I love Classic Chrome. I just like the way it looks. I can't decide between the iPad 8 Gen or the iPad Air for photo editing. Any thoughts? If you can wait, I would wait till whatever next iPad Pro is coming out. I don't know when that is, but it's probably going to be beastie, I would assume. If you can't wait, then go ahead and get the iPad Air. It sounds like it's faster. The only thing about it that I personally wouldn't like is it doesn't have Face ID. And the Face ID makes the iPad Pro, so it's such a good experience. Like, it's better than using a laptop. You can just like snip, 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 and then like Face ID. It's like so good. I be talking to my desktop apps too. Yeah, like look at Lightroom, bro. Come on. Not responding. Great job. Lightroom classes versus Lightroom. So my only issue with Lightroom or Lightroom CC or whatever, they keep changing the name. My only issue with Lightroom is that the export options are horrible. There's like a couple of things in Lightroom that just like doesn't, it's like why? And it seems like they're trying to switch over to Lightroom because, man, I might have to task manage you. Here it goes. In task. But there's just like stuff missing from Lightroom. Where if you're like a full-blown, uh-oh. Come on, Lightroom. Yeah, so I actually like Lightroom. I use it on my iPad, but for professional work, I can't do it. Because there's just like stuff that it won't do. Especially when it comes to like exporting and stuff. This would, I'm over here trying to show y'all some. All I want to do is show you my export settings, and Lightroom is just hating. I might not be able to right now, y'all. Creative Cloud, are there updates I need? There are. Go figure. Let me know, I'll come shoot for you with my GFX. Just everything. Second shooter with the GFX and dual GFX on the main shooter. What's up, John? Greetings from VA. Hello, hello. Okay, so we're updating Lightroom now. Let me try. Oh, it keeps saying that the catalog's being used already. Yeah, Lightroom's hating. Choose a different catalog. I don't understand. Why don't... The Lightroom catalog name 2020 V10 cannot be opened because another application is using it. Quit the other Lightroom. How is there two versions of Lightroom open? I don't stop. Just please. Everybody. I like task managed and stopped it. And it's trying to tell me that there's another one. Sorry, y'all. Streamlabs be hating on caps. It be getting everybody on the caps too. Hey, stop that, you. XT3 versus XT4. I am leaning towards the XT3. XT3 is what I shoot mainly all the time. I do have an XT4, but I only like it for video. I don't like the flip screen at all. This the articulating screen, or not articulate, but just the like tilty screen on the XT3 is so good for photos because it's easy to be like snap, snap, snap. Or if I want to shoot low by the hip, just flip it out like this and then like snap, 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 snap. If I want to shoot high, you know, just bring it up like this. Bring it down like that. Snap, 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 snap. It's like, there's no questions. It's just good. Do you think they'll eventually discontinue Classic? It seems, yeah, it looks like they're going to get rid of Classic. Like, even on the M1, they just, yeah, see, now it's going to, oh, what? No! I want Classic. Go away. What was I saying? Oh yeah, on the M1 Max, they just made the native M1 Lightroom, but not Lightroom Classic. So we'll see. I think they're gonna move over to Lightroom, which I'm cool with if they can get some more features from Lightroom Classic over to Lightroom. Because, like, yeah, it looks different, but it basically does everything that Classic does. There's just small stuff that it can't do. Bro, why is this thing freaking out so much? Did I, like, mess up my catalog? It shouldn't be this hard, Lightroom. It should not be this hard. It's making me feel good that we all have the same problems. I hate days like, there it goes, finally, wow. Wow, Lightroom. Welcome to Lightroom. What's new? GPU support and brush grading. I already know this. I've been known this. All right. So we're talking about export settings. Sorry about those technical difficulties. Now we are finally where we want to be to answer your question. So export settings. So I have all these lovely photos here. And if I want to export a photo, I export. So for exporting for clients, I will do JPEG, 100% quality, sRGB. I will not resize it to fit. The resolution should be 300 ppi. Screen sharpening is usually low or standard. Mine is low because I do the sharpening inside of another program. And that's it. And then it opens it up in exposure, and that's where I add my sharpening in grain. And that's my export settings. Pretty straightforward. Time to change the caption. So yeah, I hope that answered y'all's question about exporting. This was a fun little shoot. It's like cold right now. I want to get out and shoot some more again. It's been a minute since I've shot anything. No JPEG Mini? Yeah, I do JPEG Mini afterwards. So after I export everything and save it, then I'll just throw it in JPEG Mini real quick. For JPEG Mini, there's no real settings. I just basically... Oh, it won't let me move the preferences, but optimize the originals and I just make them smaller. That's pretty much it. It just does it automatically. So literally just, I'll take all the stuff after I've done it and just throw it in there. I just learned that Surface Pro can't handle RAW. I did a stop animation of Rubik's Cube and now Premiere's like, no! Thank you all for them subs. But I've completed my task for the day. I have other things that I need to do as well. So this is the time where I jump off of the stream. So thank you all for hanging out again with me while I streamed and showed you a little bit of some randomness I was doing some cool, you know, gutting my computer so I can sell the parts. I need to take pictures of the parts. I need to get rid of my dirt old iMac. There's just a lot of stuff. I need to take some painkillers for my mouth. My throat is mad dry. I need to drink some water. What a day. Do you know that you can have JPEG Mini work with your export? Yes. For some reason, my my plugin isn't installed and it won't install for some stupid reason. But when I had it installed, that's what I would do. It would be a part of the export. So, but yeah, thank you all for hanging out again. And I hope to have some more stuff coming up for y'all. It's been hard making videos recently. I'm just tired. It's been rough. It's been a long year, y'all. But I'm still here. If y'all ever have any questions or have ideas for videos, you know where to find me. Just hit me up. So I will catch y'all next time. And thank you for hanging out. Have a great weekend. Good evening. and good day for everyone else on my side of the world. All right, peace.